If the performance of graphics cards could be measured in weight and size, the 7990 would be pretty much as beastly as it gets. Grab some shoes, kids, because this is a major feat, I'm terrible, of modern engineering. Two 7970 cards have effectively been squished into one here. That means 2 times 2048 stream processors. This thing is a compute beast. 2 times 3 gigabytes of memory, giving it a total of 6 gigs of GDDR5 memory. 2 times 4.1 billion transistors, that is per core, on this particular graphics card. A total TDP of 375 watts, which is the maximum allowed by the PCI Express 3 specification, meaning make sure you got a proper power supply before implementing one of these guys, and only a modest underclock. So instead of 1 gigahertz, they've gone down to 950 megahertz, making it almost 2 full 7970 gigahertz edition cards. Alright, so I've blabbed enough. Let's take a close look at it. The cooler is an extremely unique thing about this card. It uses 3 92mm fans and an enormous array of aluminum fins and even some copper fins for the PWM modules. This makes it basically equivalent to the kinds of coolers that you would buy for an aftermarket card or some of the custom cards that individual manufacturers release outside of the reference designs. But this is a reference design, guys. It has 4 heat pipes per core for each of those huge aluminum fin stacks. So they're coming out at the back near the I/O, as well as at the other back. I mean, it's hard to say when you got 2 GPU cores on it. What's the back? At the other back near the end of the card and the PCI Express connectors. You've got, speaking of PCI Express connectors, 2 8-pin PCI Express connectors to make sure that this card can get all of the power that it needs. The PCI Express 3.0 interface is pretty much dwarfed by the size of this enormous card, and you've got a full backplate on it, meaning that will assist in cooling somewhat as well as make the card more rigid, which is going to be important because if you have something this long that's only supported by a couple of screws here and a PCI Express slot here, shipping it could be an issue unless you don't want it to bend and flex, unless you make sure that it's correctly reinforced. In terms of I/O, you've got 4 mini DisplayPort ports and 1 dual-link DVI port, giving you a ton of options in terms of display connectivity. And I think we can all agree that this is pretty much as sexy as it gets in terms of a graphics card. Make sure of a couple things though, guys. Number 1, you have enough length in your case. Anything that supports a 6990 should also support a 7990, but double check. Many gaming cases spec out how many inches of space they have for a graphics card. The other thing is make sure your case has adequate ventilation. Previously, most reference cards have used what's called a blower design that outputs most of the heat from the back of the card outside the case. This allows them to more easily be used in cases that don't have great cooling. This one is not using that type of design. Most of the heat is exhausted from the top of the card here and the bottom of the card here, meaning that it stays inside your case. So if you don't have enough case fans for ventilation, then you might be running into a bit of a problem with the rest of your components. Your graphics card will stay cool enough because it's got like 8 pounds of metal on it. Exaggeration, asterisks. So who is this card actually for? It's basically 2 7970s, which are normally a dual slot card, in 2 slots. So if you didn't have enough expansion slots, you have a micro ATX system, and you want to also install a sound card and something else, then this might be the solution for you. If you want slightly lower power consumption than 2 7970s, this will get that, but part of it might be that it's downclocked, but they also get to share some components, which is kind of nice. If you want an ultimate rig and you want 4 7970 class GPUs, then you can install 2 of these with the Crossfire bridge up here at the top. So that's definitely an option if you're one of those quad Crossfire types of guys. But other than that, I'd say bragging rights, because it's really cool looking. And obviously it's got some serious performance going on. Now, there's been a lot of conversation about frame rating and how Crossfire Solutions right now might not be delivering as many FPS as something like Fraps might report, but the good news is AMD's working on a beta driver, a development driver, whatever you want to call it, a prototype driver that is going to hopefully seriously bring that problem from being sort of what it is now to being something that's much smaller. So stay tuned. Comes with lots of games also, by the way. And that is pretty much all there is to say. Thank you for checking out this NCIX Tech Tips on the 7990 from AMD. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this from ncix.com.